Well, South Africa, as you know, is marking Women's Day, but there's little to celebrate for those affected by gender-based violence. This has reached crisis proportions, with research showing that every day at least 3 women die at the hands of their partners. There have been summits and protests to highlight the issue, but how effective have these been? For more on this, I'm joined by social activist Nella Emda. Hello.
Hi, Jane. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in today.
Pleasure.
You've got quite a task ahead of you, haven't you, with this gender-based violence?
It's a daunting task, but it's a task that can be executed. It's a task that requires a whole lot of commitment. It's a task that requires a whole lot of new lenses with which we must look at the struggle that is facing women. We may want to pay homage and tribute to the women of 1956, but the reality is that 63 years later, the picture looks very much gloomy for women of South Africa. As you have just mentioned right now, statistics shows us that every 4 hours, a woman passes through the face of the earth in the hands of their partner. That's a crisis.
I mean, you can't even really get your head around it, can it? It's extraordinary and it's disgusting, and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
But you know what makes it even more disgusting? It's disgusting because it has been made to be a norm. It has been normalized in our society. One of the things that has happened in our society, Jane, is that gender-based violence, initially, it was given a face of a hobo in the streets. It was given a face of a taxi driver, a person who's got no ethics. No. Gender-based violence perpetrator in 2019 is a CEO in a big corporate office, is a decision maker who sits in parliament, is a man who runs a law firm. I mean, the likes of Bongani Khoza, a person who runs his own law firm, Bongani Khoza Attorneys, here in Benmo Gardens, in Sandton. I'm talking about big names, the likes of Given Mkari. I mean, these are the faces. Athamu Fokate, a singer, an artist, a person who has been celebrated generation by generation in the music industry. These are the monsters that are wearing the suits that must be called out, because they are the ones who represent the deepening of this crisis that our women find ourselves in. And it is a crisis that can no longer be looked at and be normalized and accepted. That is the task that is facing us as women. We've got not only to unite to say we will fight it, we must unite in naming those who are responsible. Because, you know, gender-based violence, Jane, has got no race, has got no status, has got no class. No one can say, by virtue of my race, I can escape gender-based violence. No, darling. And gender-based violence has got... You can't say on the basis of, no, where I am in society, the status. It has got no status. No one is spared by gender-based violence. Hence, the voices that are standing to call perpetration of gender-based violence must rise, and rise unashamedly.
All right, so, I mean, you're calling out these names, and it's important to know that nobody is exempt here. But
absolutely.
So we've got a big problem. What do we do about it?
The very first thing that we need to do is that us as women, we should not only be united to say it is wrong. No one in society must be shielded by another woman on the basis that I'm not the victim. When you are the victim, I must stand up with you as well. It shouldn't be the fact that on the basis of me not being directly affected, therefore, I can exempt myself. That is the starting point. The clarion call for an action of joining hands together as women will be the one that will make the difference. It is a united force of women who stand together, who will defeat the monsters in these corporate suits that are perpetrating among our children. When you're talking about gender-based violence, you're also talking about sexual assault. Tell me, What is in the mind of a man who rapes an 18-month-old baby? What is in the mind of that man? There is nothing you can do.
And where does the sickness come from?
The sickness comes from the fact that society has enabled to be accepted that a man can do anyhow with a woman. And society has got a very quick way of accepting the sins of a man, but of dismissing errors of a woman, mistakes of a woman. The society frowns upon them. But anything that is done by a man, instead of being called out, you will have the society being receptive and embracive to it. And that is the most disgusting demon that we have in our society, that the united voices of women must root out. And we are not going to be doing this for ourselves. We are the scarred women. We are the bleeding women. We are the women with wounds that are unbandaged. But what we are trying to do now is to bandage the wounds of our children who have already been exposed to this monster that is bedeviling our society. And I'm saying one of the most critical things that will make us to succeed in putting an end to this is not shielding anyone. No status must save you. You must be the president, be called out. You must be a celebrity, be called out. Whatever you are, for as long as you are a gender-based violence perpetrator, it must get to a point where, even career-wise, Jane, it must disadvantage you. It must make your career go south. It must literally cut you from all the niceties that you have been accustomed to by virtue of having touched one woman.
Okay, Another, thank you very much for coming in and speaking to us, expressing your views here on this show.